I've written thousands of pieces of LinkedIn content and X content for B2B founders, and there are 3 core skills that separate the top 1% of content writers from the rest of them. And if you're a founder who's wanting to get into LinkedIn and founder-led content for your software company, you're going to want to make sure whoever you hire has these 3 core skills and is A+ at them. And if you're a writer who's trying to write for founders or write for companies on LinkedIn or Twitter, you're going to want to master these 3 skills as a way to stand out. So what I'm about to show you is an internal training that I made for the writers at my agency. And it was so good, I figured I'd just share it publicly. So hopefully you enjoy it, find it valuable. If you do, drop a like down below and let me know what questions you have off the back of it. But let's get into the 3 core skills that make a top 1% B2B content writer. Okay, so in this training module, we're going to be going over the core content writing skills. So the purpose of this module is to walk you through these core content skills that every content writer must focus on. Really, if you can master these skills, you'll have a strong foundation for writing compelling social content for LinkedIn, Twitter, and really this applies across the board when it comes to writing. So the definition of success here is if you can internalize and explain what these 3 core content writing skills are at a surface level. Now, I don't expect you to master these in week 1. But I want you to at least be able to summarize what they are and know directionally where you're headed when it comes to these skills. And future modules will walk you through each of these core skills in more detail. And these will really be things that you're always refining, always working on, which leads me into the next section here, which is the best content writers relentlessly hone their skills on the fundamentals. The fundamentals really get you 80% of the way there, and that might be an underestimation in and of itself, but that might be more like 90%, 95%, even so far as 99%. A lot of the tactics and super minute details, they matter, but they're not going to do most of the heavy lifting. Most of the heavy lifting is actually going to be done by the 3 skills that we're going to cover in today's module. And I love this anecdote from Kobe Bryant, my favorite basketball player of all time, arguably the GOAT. I'm a Laker fan, so I won't be taking any other input there. But I love this anecdote from Kobe about how obsessive he was about mastering the basics. Pretty much the TLDR of the story is someone was sitting in watching a workout of his, and they were just shocked by how often or how much he was drilling the most basic basketball moves into his routine. The same thing applies in writing, really in any skill, but in this case, writing. So I'd encourage you to click through, read that anecdote. Really exemplifies how I think about things when it comes to content strategy and content writing. And the core skills here, from my experience writing and editing tons and tons and tons of content over the years, is these 3 skills are going to get you most of the way there. If you do nothing else but master these or get close as you can to mastering these, you'll be in a fantastic spot. That first core skill is going to be subject matter expertise and research. So how deep can you understand the product and the industry that you're writing for? I'll discuss more in a second here. Core skill number 2, topic selection and hook writing. So with that expertise, how effective are you at identifying and strategizing topics that are going to resonate with that target audience, that are going to be things that make that target audience want to stop scrolling? And as a result of that, you'll be able to write stronger hooks. Topic selection and hook writing are 2 separate skills, but I'm combining them into one for this overview here. We'll have separate in-depth trainings for each of them, but I think they're close enough or closely related enough to live as combined in this core skills training. And then the core skill number 3 is tone of voice. So how effectively are you able to adapt a client's tone of voice and write in it effectively? Because being that we're writing for a lot of founders and personal accounts, it's very important that the way that their tone comes across on social reflects them, because that's going to allow us to create more authentic content, which performs better. And then also making sure the client and themselves are very satisfied with the content we're pushing through for them. So I'll go ahead and walk you through each of these. So again, core skill number 1, subject matter expertise. Like I said earlier, all the tactics in the world won't save your writing if you don't deeply understand the client and industry you're writing for. So the rule of thumb here, and what I love to tell all the writers on our team, is your goal is to understand the client's product and the client's industry well enough that you feel comfortable stepping in on a sales call for that client. Purely hypothetical. We're never going to be on a sales call for a client, but you should know the industry and the product at a deep enough level that you feel like you could at least hold your own and maybe close a warm lead or 2. So you're able to, and by doing this, by having that strong understanding of the subject matter, it bleeds over into every other aspect of your writing. So you're able to write stronger topics or select stronger topics the audience wants to read about. You're able to write hooks that you know with confidence will resonate with that desired audience and stop the scroll. You're able to find specific relevant examples and anecdotes that make the post more compelling. You're able to incorporate niche influencers and industry folks into your posts in ways that increase distribution. That's a topic for a different module. It's a much more in-depth topic. But my point here is the deeper you understand the subject matter that you're writing for, so whether that be the product itself, so the software that we're selling for the founders, or the industry that the founders operate in, the deeper you understand those things, the more effective your content is going to be. Then core skill 2 here is topic selection and hook writing. So advertising legend David Ogilvy once wrote, on the average, 5 times as many people read the headline as the body copy. When you have written your headline, you've spent 80 cents out of your dollar. So your headline is the most important part of your post. Really, like, how are you going to get social users to stop scrolling? If you miss out on the hook or the headline, that you can use those interchangeably, they're not going to stop scrolling. If they don't stop scrolling, everything else that was in the post that was so great and so neat and formatted and very valuable doesn't matter because they didn't stop scrolling. So if you're able to select topics that are relevant and write them and format them in a way that is going to stop the scroll, so that's your hook, you're going to be a much more effective content writer. Because the truth is, once someone's hooked into a post, as long as you don't totally bait and switch them and the body copy is like totally irrelevant, as long as you don't do that, once you get them in, they're going to at least read like halfway through, if not all the way through the content. Where most writers fumble is their hooks are just not strong enough. So we want to avoid that as much as we can. So like I had mentioned, the topic selection and the hook writing are 2 slightly different skills, but they're closely enough related that I want to group them together as one core skill as you're getting onboarded here. Because if you can master these, it carries over and everything else. It'll make everything else in your content a lot easier to write. So just to get specific, the topic is the topic the post is written about. The hook is the way that topic is presented in a way that gets folks to stop scrolling and read, not read. As always, if there's no typo, it's not a banger. Okay, fix that typo. But essentially, the topic is the topic or the stuff you're writing about. The hook is the way it's formatted or presented that makes people stop scrolling. Like I said, in future modules, I'll break each of these down individually, and we'll spend a lot of time diving through specific examples. You'll have a database to work with. But they're organized under the same core skill for now as we ramp up because they're so closely related. And one note here is you'll notice that the better you are at core skill number 1, the more effective you are going to be at core skill number 2. So the deeper you understand the subject matter and the audience you're writing for, the more effectively you're going to be able to select topics because you're going to understand the industry at a deeper level. The more effectively you're going to understand the stuff that's going to get that person to stop scrolling and read. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, core skill number 3, tone of voice. By far, when we're ramping up with new clients, this is the area where there's the most back and forth because as we're writing a lot and creating content a lot for individual founders or executives or team members. So they're pretty sensitive about their tone of voice, and rightfully so. This is stuff going out on their personal page, so they want to make sure it sounds like them. And our job is to make sure it sounds as close to them as humanly possible. And the best content writers are chameleons. You can shift in and out of different personalities, different tones of voice very effectively. And when you're a content writer here, you're going to be writing across multiple clients. Really, at capacity, you'll be writing across usually 4 accounts. So you got to develop the ability to shift between the tones of the clients. Not every client should sound the same. And this is the problem with a lot of ghostwriting is it sounds very robotic and very obvious that it's not the person behind it's not the person whose name is on the account that's writing the content. And our goal here isn't necessarily to ghostwrite and make stuff up. Our goal is just to take content that the founder would have written anyway because of their stories and their opinions and their takes and format it for them in social content so that they don't have to spend 10 hours a week doing it themselves. Again, you got to get clear on like what vocabulary do they use? I couldn't speak there. But what vocabulary do they use? How do they phrase certain sentences? How do they want to come across in their writing? Do they want to come across more serious, more polarizing, more humorous? Have they given us any specific instruction there? Do we have previous material we can go off of? And this is a really important skill to master because it does 2 things. So 1, It makes the content perform better because it's more authentic. Again, a lot of the reason ghostwritten content tends to not be great is because it's very generic and it has no personality. It sounds robotic and very templated. And templates are a good thing. You'll see that we use plenty of templates and playbooks, but we want to present it in a way that is authentic and sounds like the person we're writing for. So it makes the content perform better. The second piece here is that it improves the client experience because they're having to make less edits. If the client's having to go in and just completely overhaul a post because it doesn't sound like them, and they're like, I would never post this. This is terrible. Of course, it's not going to give them a great experience. Even if the content is optimized to perform well on social, the client needs to be stoked about what they're putting out as well. And it needs to be authentic to them, both for performance reasons, because authentic content tends to perform better, and two, for client experience purposes. So both are huge wins for us as an agency and as for you as an individual writer. And like I had mentioned earlier in this module, your ability to master core skill number one, so becoming a subject matter expert in whatever client you're writing for their industry, mastering that influences your mastery of core skills 2 and 3. So your ability to select compelling topics and write in the appropriate tone of voice. So what's next? Over the next 4 to 6 weeks as you ramp up, the modules in this program will walk you through the 3 core skills in much more depth to get you up to speed and comfortable as you start writing client content. So the rule of thumb here that I would recommend is don't overwhelm yourself. There are so many skills that you're going to pick up as a content writer, and we'll walk you through every one of them. And over time, months and years of you being here, you're going to pick them up. But as you get started, the reason why I narrowed it down into 3 core skills is so you can focus. So focus on 1 to 2 skills at a time. The modules are laid out in a way that allows you to do that. And our expectation internally is not that you come in and master this 100% out the gate. There's going to be certain skills that come more easily for you. So maybe you're great at topic selection, but you got to work on matching tone of voice. That's totally normal and expected. So focus intensely on 1 to 2 skills at a time. So I hope that was helpful. If you master these 3 skills as a content writer, you're going to be miles ahead of the rest of your competition. And if you're a founder and you hire someone, whether it's a freelancer or an agency like the one I operate, that has these 3 skills, you're going to be in a great place to take advantage of founder-led content on LinkedIn and X. So if you enjoyed this video, drop a like down below and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Now, if you want to learn more about how to build a founder-led LinkedIn content motion, I'll drop a video up on the screen right now that I think will be a fantastic next watch for you. It'll walk you through exactly how we automate this process for B2B founders at our agency. I reveal the whole playbook, so check it out and I'll see you over there.